Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of IC Data People. And here with us is Richard Hoffmann. He's the co-founder and chief customer officer of Datarade, a B2B platform that helps companies easily sell their data. And prior to Datarade, Richard was a sales executive at Argo Trade Solutions and worked also as a partner management for Audioban. Richard, welcome to IC Data People.
Hi, Omri. Hi, Ivan. Thank you for the invitation. Pleasure to be with you today.
It's awesome to have you here. I've actually been following you guys for quite a while. We've also been in the same Techstars program, so it's great to have you here. And as we know, Datarade markets itself as the Shopify of data. Can you explain this model a bit and tell our audience how you think this model can make data products more readily available to all data customers?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, I think Shopify is an amazing business, also founded by a few Germans. Yeah, they are now based in the US. Hi from Berlin here, first of all. Shopify, what they did pretty well is they helped small and medium-sized companies to build an omni-channel e-commerce distribution, right? And not only at a certain stage they helped the SMB segment, but what they also did, they helped a net new amount of e-commerce mom and pop shops to out of the blue build a e-commerce business. Now even large e-commerce companies are using Shopify, so it's really a cross low floor to high ceiling solution that you use in order to grow or build an e-commerce business. And we see the same thing is actually applying to the data industry. What we see is that there are so many data marketplaces and data catalogs and integrated built-in software like white label data marketplaces that are popping up left and right over the years, and it's fragmenting even more. And what we do with the Data Commerce Cloud is we help small and medium-sized data as a service business, data companies, data providers, however you want to call them, in order to reach the demand, the customers across all these channels, right? No matter where they are, it might be like a Google Cloud Analytics Hub, a Databricks, AWX, an Alation, one of the top BCG, McKinsey, so the top big five consultancies have their own marketplace built in. We help data as a service companies to be visible with all the data products in those channels in the end. Now, how does this help the data consumer, right? So in the end, any AI-driven use case is located in any sort of software cloud platform environment. And now how it works in the past is you go on Google, you browse, call your friend, you go to a conference, you are hopefully lucky to find the right partner and then bring them into your platform. Why not consuming the data within clicks instead of projects straight within the cloud platform environment? And this is what the DCC, the Data Commerce Cloud, ultimately powers to a data consumer, to a buyer of data, that they can consume data in clicks rather than projects. And we, from a commercial side, of course, focus on the companies that do the amazing legwork for this entire data hype. Data is the new gold, the new water. I don't like the new oil type of metaphor. But we really help the companies that collect the impact data for sustainable finance, for air quality, clean city projects. We help the companies that annotate the images, the videos, the audios, right? In order to build their business and create a global distribution of their data. Well, it's only possible if you're visible on those marketplaces, on those channels where the data is getting consumed. This is where the Data Commerce Cloud comes into play. And yeah, we actually launched this product last year in October. Right now have 100 data providers contractually in our portfolio here. And yeah, of course, now start to grow this even further.
So you've alluded to the fact that the data market has really just exploded in recent years. There are, by some counts, around 10,000 different data providers out there. If you're working with 100 of them, you must have a pretty rigorous vetting process. for how you choose which vendors to work with, and really what I think our audience would love to know is, what does that evaluation process look like? How do you determine what's high enough quality data to work with Datarade?
Great question. So I am sharing some stats with you. Every week we get 30 to 40 inbound requests from companies that want to sell their data with us, right? So they knock on the doors, they say, hey, we are company A, we sell data B, let's do business together. Can we access the data commerce cloud? And we say, like, cool, amazing, first of all, that you're now trying to build a data business, but hey, one step at a time. At the moment, our solution is still heavily focused on established data partners, right? The likes of the SafeGraphs, the InvestNets, the Core Signals, the Bright Datas, etc. And these established data businesses also set the benchmarks. They set the quality benchmarks. They set the pricing benchmarks, the volume, the scale, the sample benchmarks, the completion benchmarks, etc. And I think especially for net new entries into the data industry, the new data cores that are now founded left and right, they need to, of course, reach the standards that the current incumbents, the market participants already set. And yes, we do check the data samples. Yes, we do check if there are like a data license agreement in place, if it's a proper company, etc. We believe that ultimately it's up to the data buyer, the community, the market to really assess the value of the data that providers that can accomplish like also these certain benchmarks. It might be a new challenger, it might be a random new company that comes out of the blue and tries to compete with a similar web. So that's really like things we do see happening, but in the end the market will tell and will make the will set the benchmarks for what's a sustainable business, am I doing a multi-year DaaS agreement with, and maybe who is still too early or too young to do business with me as a data consumer.
I think you guys are in a very unique position in this community or market industry of data. And I wonder what you see as the biggest challenges or obstacles in the data industry today.
Yeah, maybe let me start what we don't see as one of the biggest challenges today, but many people seem still to be distracted or afraid by it. I think what's not a big challenge or the biggest challenge is actually the entire realm of data sharing, data exchanging. So many companies are like focusing still on or tackling this issue, but in all the conversations I had with data buyers and data sellers, and they are in the multiple thousands, dozens of thousands conversations I had, I would even say not a handful has ever told me, guys, it's so difficult to exchange or share data. What's really like is a big challenge actually, and what we see is like worth solving is the data evaluation and the quick value assessment. So how can we make it extremely fast, easy, reliable to evaluate third-party data, and how to assess its value that is then, of course, linked to ROI positive business case. And what we see is that it sometimes takes 3 to 4 months, maybe even longer, to just set up a data evaluation agreement, to sign an NDA, and then finally have a dump of test data you can work with. So like quarter of a year is over, and you haven't really like assessing the value of the data, and this causes a lot of friction. So that's the first point that I would like to mention, and then the second point. The data industry, and we love this so much because it's so global. It's truly, truly global, right? It's like US companies buying Indonesian mobility data, Indonesian companies buying US consumer credit risk data, etc. How can you build scalable trust in this industry? How can you trust somebody to do like a couple of $100,000, a few $1,000 data deal with? Do you get the data first? Do you pay them first? Is there an institution in the middle that really like creates trust? Something like an Alipay or something like that, right? So I think these two things, from a commercial perspective, not from a technical perspective, to wrap it up here, are the most crucial challenges that both parties on the buying and selling side of data commerce are confronted with, that we see regularly happening. Yeah.
So you've highlighted some of the challenges in the data infrastructure and finding the right data, but you've also hit on the fact that you work with some of the premier data providers in the market already. I'm curious, what's the most powerful insight you've seen from data recently?
Yeah. So, hey, we operate our own global data marketplace available under Datarade.ai. I think one of the most used data discovery, data marketplaces that exist out there, with monthly over 100,000 visitors searching for external data, buying external data. And if I would say what's the most interesting data set that we have come across so far is actually the data industry transaction data that we collect ourselves. So what is purchased, at what price, at what deliverables, at what terms, for what like frequencies, for what volume, etc. How fast, from which provider. I think these transaction data about the data industry, I think, is extremely insightful data that we also plan to leverage in order to help newcomers, the new challengers that want to build a data business, to facilitate how they should price their data. I think like this is what this then will be ultimately used for, helping any company to find a good first price range for how to monetize an air quality data feed for Berlin or Israel. Yeah. So data, transaction data. Very meta.
I love this one, by the way, but I would also like to turn this thing around a little bit. What is your most controversial opinion?
So I would say it's not the data provider, the data company with the best data quality that wins a deal, that wins a category, that wins the business. We see that's the data provider, the data company with the best distribution, with the best go-to-market strategy, with the most aggressive sales force that wins that becomes the industry leader for a certain data category. Because everyone talks so much about data quality, and yeah, it's so important to have like very high data quality, etc. But it's such an obscure construct. It's so difficult to measure, also so subjective for every company to assess what's like data quality for them. And we therefore believe that the focus is rather on distribution and go-to-market rather than having like the best data quality in the space. Now I've made a few friends.
So you've got a great bird's eye view of the industry. You've in fact even alluded to collecting data on what's selling and for how much. Tell us where the industry is going in 5 years. What does the data industry look like, 3, 4, 5 years down the road from now?
Yeah, so our company has very straightforward 3 core industry hypotheses here. First, everyone will buy data just like everyone buys software today. That's like very straightforward. Second is every SaaS company, every SaaS platform will embed some sort of a data marketplace feature, right? We talked about this earlier in our discussion. Data should be bought where the use case lives, where the internal data sits, and ideally, if I have like a HubSpot CRM, I buy data there. If I have like a geospatial data platform, I buy the geospatial data there. If I use Google Cloud Analytics Hub, hey, of course, then I should like be consuming this there. And we see this platform embedded data marketplace trend going on, like speeding up aggressively right now. The amounts of questions we get for white labeling a data marketplace cases is crazy. So to everyone maybe listening in, we see a very lucrative business here if you want to found a white label data marketplace solution that is very easy to use. And then the third hypothesis that we really have as a conviction is every company will build a data business. That's, I think, core belief of also the company Datarade, that we are building the data commerce cloud. And it's so amazing to see what also unique, powerful data providers exist or come to the market, right? What they bring, how they challenge the status quo. And yeah, that's what our three core industry beliefs are, especially focusing on the last one, where we say every company will build a data core. I think there was a recently published article from Forbes, your new Vogue subsidiary, a data company, right? A data core. Maybe you can link it to the podcast somewhere. I think it's very easy to read and quite nailing down the topic, that there's so much value sitting within every company that's soon to be monetized on in a separate data unit. And yeah, happy to help them with the go-to-market through the Data Commerce Cloud and making this place a more technology future innovative one.
Richard, thank you so much for being here. We've seen data vendors and we've seen data buyers, but this one was super unique. So thank you so much for joining IC Data People.
Thanks for having me. Have a good time. Ciao.